All right, hello and welcome back to the Put to Scale podcast, episode 2. We are filming this on March 27th, and as you can see, we've kind of switched things up a little bit and kind of made things a little bit more special in terms of like the music and composing. It's all done to my special guest here today. You know him from probably Tinley Park if you've gone to the Reptile show down there, as well as maybe some other reptile shows down in the Midwest as well too. He is the frog guru, let me tell you, and he has some stories to share, and I am so excited to get him on the podcast here today. He is my good friend for a few years now. I mean, honestly, more than a few years now. I mean, probably almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
My good friend, Mike Novy. This is him right here. So from Rainforest Junkies, Mike Novy. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast here today. We appreciate you here.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so excited having you on. And I mean, like I said, the music that you guys heard here today, that was all done by him. So I kind of gave you a running motion of like,
Hope
oh my
it didn't
god.
make your ears bleed.
Yeah, right. I was kind of like, hey, let's do something, because I know we've been kind of like composing music and stuff like that and kind of working on some projects for kind of off and on because of COVID for the past year and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
whether it's been over the phone or kind of whatever in person, we've been kind of learning.
Well, work on that program itself is kind of tricky.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been kind of learning Logic at the same time together. I mean, we kind of know both aspects, as you know, like the music theory, and I kind of know like the technical editing side of things, and we're kind of teaching each other back and forth, and it's been working out. And what you guys heard, that was basically the finished product of our first real long song. You thought it was, when you talked to me on the phone about this, you said it was like 7 seconds. It turned out to be a minute 20.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be that long. But I mean, when you're working on it, it's like, God, this is only probably about 7 seconds. Because again, the program itself is new to me, and you know, it's one of those ordeals. But this is just like a rough thing that we did, you know, for the podcast. We'll probably have a better one sooner, but you know, hey, you know.
Yeah, just kind of like a rough cut for now, just to give to you guys, and then we kind of brainstorm some ideas for down the line of things that we want to do, and I think it's going to be really exciting. I mean, we have some cool ideas planned, and not only with that, but like we've been kind of brainstorming ideas for other things too.
Video.
For video work and stuff like that. So some really exciting stuff with that for composing and video work and stuff like that. So definitely reach out to him too if you guys have any things that you want to make or anything like that. He's definitely your guy. I mean, I've heard some of his past work, and I mean, it's incredible. And you're kind of remaking some of your pieces now, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, it was like 25 years that I stopped doing music, so this is like getting back into it. You know, it's coming back a little bit here and there, but it's gonna take a few. But yeah, eventually.
It's not just like riding a bike. And in some ways, it probably is.
You know what? I mean, well, when it comes to like guitar work, especially, I mean, it's like your motor skills aren't nearly. I mean, if you take a 25-year break.
Yeah.
It's like you got to rebuild every single muscle in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I originally quit because of carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
So, just trying to avoid that, because you got to do these, like, I call them the John Petrucci yoga, where you're doing all these stretches and all that. And it does help. So, I mean, my hand doesn't fall asleep while playing anymore. So
That's good.
Just got to,
Yeah, honestly, I need to pick up my guitar, too. I've been kind of neglecting that for a while, so we'll get back into it. We'll get a band going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, more so than the music side of things, I mean, you're not only like a rock star, and I've seen some of your older photos and stuff like that where you have like the hair, you look like you're a part of Whitesnake.
Something, yeah.
But you have this amazing collection, and you have this amazing reputation in the hobby for being one of the main people for frogs, amphibian species, and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been about as long as I quit music that I've been doing this. So it's like, you know, this isn't like something you learn overnight. So it's just kind of like one of those things you just keep on learning and learning.
Sure.
And no matter how much you learn, as far as, you know, with one species or, you know, 40 like I used to have, you're always going to have to learn something new with it. I mean, something like when I went down to Costa Rica, I mean, I thought I knew just about everything about red-eyed tree frogs, for instance, you know, but I felt like I knew nothing, you know, when I got down there. And I changed a lot of things, and, you know, it actually did intensify things. So.
Oh, I believe it. So, like, how long have you been keeping frogs?
Total for probably 25 plus years, yeah.
Okay. Because, yeah, you kept both darts, and then you also kept tree frogs, both in the past. You probably are going to hear some calling of frogs in the background here. I mean, we have a whole bunch of frogs right behind us, and it's definitely something you're going to be picking up on and be like, what is that noise? That's going to be the frogs. So, and
That right there, if you could hear it, is a Savatica.
yeah. And, like, sometimes, too, like you said, like, if there's a thunderstorm or something like that, this place goes nuts.
Like 2 days ago, or what was it, yesterday maybe? No, it was,
I think it was
2 nights ago.
yeah.
2 nights ago, rather. Yeah, like every male thought he was Elvis. I mean, they just lit up, and I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose outside. So it was pretty intense.
No, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so you've kept both tree frogs and dart frogs, and like you kind of leaned back on dart frogs for a while and kind of went strictly tree frog.
Correct. Yeah, I actually dropped it down. I mean, I had to have probably close to 30 species of dart frogs, not counting the locales.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just rows, like a whole perimeter in the one room was just like 2 levels of just tanks side by side, and you know, they're all 15 gallons pushed like this way, so you can imagine you could fit a lot of tanks that way.
It's like a library of species.
Oh yeah, it was pretty intense, but it got to the point where I did it so long, you know, I did it for like 10 years straight, and it's like afterward, you know, not saying that dart frogs suck, but I'm just saying that, you know, it just wasn't as challenging as tree frogs, because tree frogs is like all of them are different.
Different in terms of like care wise, or different in terms of breeding? Or both?
Both, actually.
Okay.
You know, a lot of them are, there's a few that are the same, but a lot of them are different. A lot of them are just different. I mean, and so I just wanted to kind of venture into that and actually get a little bit more involved with multiple different species, you know, that were in the same area, and figure out what kind of makes them tick.
Yeah.
You know, what makes them happy, you know, as far as their care goes, and of course what makes them happy when they want to breed, you know, when it's happy time. So yeah, I mean, it took a lot of work and a lot of figuring out. I mean, I did a lot of research on the internet. You know, you got to figure out where they're from, what the temperature's like, and even some of the literature that's on like the internet is wrong. Like when we went down to Costa Rica, and I totally nerded out. I went down there with a weather station, with a probe I put outside, seeing what the barometric pressures were doing up and down, humidity, all that stuff, and it was different. A lot more different than what we do in the hobby.
Okay.
And now I'm not saying that we should all change to the way that the hobby, you know, the hobby itself should change to what the wild is like. You can't really do what...
You can only mimic so much.
Correct. Like, you know, when heat temp a red eye was like 90, I think it was like 92 degrees, 92 or 93, something like that. And if you did that in a tank, it probably would harm the animal.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas you don't have the, you know, the airflow, the humidity constant.
It's more confined space, everything like that.
Yeah. And then when you get down at the bottom of the hill and it's no higher than 74, you know, from 92 to 74, you're like, what the hell? And then, you know, that's where the glass frogs were found.
Yeah.
And your skin's condensating because there's no air movement whatsoever. So, I mean, it was pretty intense. And then, like, you know, I actually took a water probe, so I'm sitting there testing the water. The water was 65 or 67 degrees, something like that.
Yeah.
It was cold. So
were you getting funny looks walking around with a water probe?
I did. I got funny looks with, you know, with a temp gun in one hand and a water probe in another, and people are just kind of like,
who's this loony?
Yeah. So, and even the people I went with, they're just sitting there shaking their head like, God, what a nerd.
Yeah.
You got to know.
Well, some people are going for like a vacation. You're kind of going as more than that.
Yeah, I was going to learn.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I mean, we got to go to 7 different places throughout Costa Rica in a 14-day span, and from the Pacific side to the Caribbean side, and I want to go back. You know, there's a lot more that
Was that the only time you've gone?
That's the only time I've ever gone.
Okay.
Only time I've ever been out of the country.
Wow, okay.
So, well, other than when I was a kid, I went to Niagara Falls.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've been too,
fun.
but like, it's like, yeah, whatever. That's like
it's
a weekend
waterfall.
thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, though, I mean, I really would like to put together a bunch of people to go down again.
Yeah.
And I would like to have Rick Redlin, the guy that actually, you know, set it up. He used to be one of my roommates. And he basically set the whole thing up. And he did a fantastic job. So I was like, you know what, maybe if we get him to actually set it up for like 16 to 18 of us again. Aside of the Black Sands. This Black Sands, big deal. Really,
Yeah, because I always laugh at that story. So, like, you basically tell that story. That was...
Oh, yeah. So we get off the bus, and everybody's wigging out. Like, people that are not into animals, wigging out over these black sands. The fact that you step on the pavement, which that was my mistake. I stepped on the pavement barefoot and screamed.
Hot.
Oh, yeah, I screamed. It was, yeah. I mean, I have some pretty thick feet, you know, but that was too much. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, there's succulents, a couple of iguanas, black sand. Yeah, let's move to the rainforest. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You know. But, I mean, it was their moment, so I just, whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, but I got my wish. We went right to the rainforest right afterward. And, well, actually, no, we went to the dry forest after that, where saltators found. That's a different type of red-eyed tree species.
Okay, yep.
So we got to go into the other parts of the rainforest, especially when we went to the Nicaraguan side. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that versus...
Even the bugs were
beaches.
cool, and I hate bugs.
Yeah.
You know? So, one thing's for sure, if you ever go to Costa Rica, dryer sheets. They work magic against mosquitoes.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we have a buddy down there right now in Ecuador, actually, not Costa Rica, but in Ecuador, and
Johnny.
yeah, John Chosmer from John Chosmer Reptiles. Definitely, he's going to be on. He said that he was going to be on after his trip, so he's going to give me some stories and stuff like that to share. I'm sure he's got a ton, but
Plenty of photos for you, too.
yeah, I mean, I've been seeing some that he's been posting on Facebook, and he's in a waterfall right now. He says the water's cold, but he doesn't care, and I wouldn't either with the views that I was seeing. But he was even seeing like the scorpions. Like he's like, you always want to check the toilet seat before you sit down and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh man.
Could definitely ruin the day.
Yeah, he's like, I'm happy I found it on this leaf rather than in my where I'm staying. So
You know, that's the ironic part. When we were down there, I didn't worry about scorpions. I was worried about bullet ants.
oh, I believe that. Yeah, I would rather worry about that. I mean, I honestly would be excited to see a scorpion. I don't really mind scorpions.
You know, oh, actually, I should say this. Fertile ants.
Yeah.
If you step in the wrong section of the woods.
Oh yeah, if you're standing in the wrong section, you know,
Yeah.
stand there long enough, you're gonna hear it for a while. You know, it's not something you just shake off. It's gonna be all up and down and around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the in terms of kind of going back to like the probing and stuff like that. So like, how did that necessarily? Like, did you go down there with like like you said you're on a mission to learn? So like, were you kind of going down there to see like how to benefit your own collection?
Yeah, that, and I mean, things that I want to work with in the future as well.
Okay.
Like Physolemus, I know that's like an oddball right there compared to what I've worked with in the past. I mean, it's just like a cryptic-looking little toad, but anything that sounds like a Star Wars lightsaber,
Yeah.
I've got to have that. I just got to have it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, I like the fact that they lay a foam nest on top of the surface of the water, too.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Well, this will be different, you know, something new. And I think that's a lot of where we, you know, keep on moving forward with our collection.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were disappointed that we got rid of a lot of things, like, you know, White's tree frogs. We got rid of our milks. And it was like, well, I mean,
And you were pretty bummed about it, but like at the same time, like you said, it wasn't a challenge anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same token, we were working anywhere from 16 to 18 hours a day. I was, at least, and damn near killed me. But you know, you got to move on. You got to have that new artery that just, you know, kind of feeds you and kind of gives you that excitement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then
You even branched out into salamanders.
I did, and then I thought I was allergic to bloodworms, and because I started breaking out in these sores on my hand, and whenever you touch the sores, it felt like a nerve was getting pinched and it would shoot it to your elbow.
Oh God.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, if I'm getting back into music, we can't have this.
Yeah.
So I got rid of the newts and salamanders, and then it turns out that I was allergic to the actual latex gloves.
Huh. Dang.
Yeah, and they're the special kind from Walmart, I guess.
Wow.
So yeah, so I switched it over to vinyl gloves.
That's a shame because you were loving those guys.
Oh man, those things.
You had a hard time trying to sell those guys, yeah.
I did not want to. I still have my varicose, which are the Himalayan crocodile nets. Those guys are still kind of cool, and I actually saved back a couple of the offspring, which turned out to be a pair, which was nice. So I still have those, but I don't have the tigers. I don't have all the different types of fire bellies that I had. The crocotus newts, the strouchy newts.
That's a shame.
Alpine newts. Alpine newts were they're like, they're characters. I mean, they would actually follow your finger. I mean, the whole school of them. I had like 20 of them in a 40-gallon breeder.
Yeah.
And all of them would just follow my hand because those things just eat nonstop.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, they were just characters. I mean, they were barely any work, but I spent probably at least an hour and a half a day just watching them.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm sure like the work, like you said, being that it's not as repetitious as like the other things, like it's new work. You know, it's a new kind of style of how to work with an animal.
It was barely any kind of work. Really.
Yeah. So it kind of works with your brain different. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Really, but don't get me wrong. I love my tree frogs. They are a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
Messy
Like you're doing,
little...
it's daily work.
Oh yeah.
Like you said.
Messy little bastards.
Yeah. You got to sterilize everything.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just the way that you want to. I mean, when it comes down to actual care of tree frogs, I mean, different ones require obviously different care.
Yeah.
Some you have to keep extremely clean. Like the Craspidopus, a lot of people are seeing these new imports that are coming in, are having issues with them. Well, there's a lot that goes with that, but I think a lot of it also is people are using bioactive a lot more too. With tree frogs, you kind of still have to clean it though.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of things.
I think that's kind of where the
makes you lazy.
Yeah, I think people think like bioactive is like, oh, okay, I don't have to do anything. I just look at it.
Yeah,
and that's not true. I mean, it don't get me wrong, it minimizes the care.
And it does help. It does help, but you still gotta get in there and
like even
buff some glass and
like even like I think this video will probably be out by the time this is in, but like I literally just gutted out like my vivarium plants and stuff like that, and that's all that's in there is plants and some orange isopods, and like that thing like literally took off for probably 4 months, and the plants are just overgrown in there, and they were just vining, wrapping around, constricting other plants. I just left it. I just kept neglecting it, and then the light went out, and I'm like, all right, I guess I have to fix this thing, and so I'm like, might as well fix the whole thing, and I cut that thing out, and I mean, all of that. I mean, it's definitely something that, you got to trim the plants, you got to clean and make sure things aren't like growing bacteria and a whole bunch of different things.
Well, that's the other thing too, is wood.
Yeah, the wood.
The
wood
tree
absorbs
frogs
all that stuff.
Is now depending on the tree frog. I mean, you could have like mossy frogs that can handle high bacteria loads and moisture and mold, a little bit of mold. I mean, I don't think any frog really necessarily loves mold.
Yeah, but it's more hardy.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, or glass frogs, they can handle, you know, that kind of surface. Whereas red eyes, they have a tendency of drying out a little bit while they're up in the canopy, and they don't come into contact with that kind of bacteria. So that's where I think real wood in some cages is actually a bad idea.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
You know, unless you have a very ventilated cage, but you better have a very humid room.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it's one problem or another. I mean, it's a hard balance, you know. So
Correct.
It's kind of there's a frog for everything, but like some frogs just aren't for certain situations.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how that goes. But kind of going back to like how you're talking about for Costa Rica, like it wasn't just a learning thing. It was more so like you were trying to kind of bring that back into your collection and like kind of bring some ideas.
Yeah, especially just the way. For one, never been to Costa Rica, so what the hell?
Yeah.
But two, you know, I definitely wanted to find out the environments, see if I'm matching it appropriately, or coming close to it. You know, kind of like seeing how they actually, you know, like when we were catching red eyes, which was actually a funny story. The one girl.
Did you find a lot of them?
In the first night that we were there, we were at Sol de Verde, and they were just coming out of the woodwork, and it just got done raining for the first time in a couple of days, like as we were coming into the country, and so you heard the males, and I'm like, oh, there's red eyes out. So me and a couple other people went out looking for them, and the one girl that was with us, as I'm grabbing him, she's like, "You're gonna hurt him." I'm like, "Lady, I do this crap all day."
Yeah, right. Anyone that would know you.
Yeah, and she didn't know, but but it was just kind of funny, and "Lady, I do this all day." And the guy that actually set it up, Rick, he goes, he actually does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a lot to learn, as far as like how these animals act in the wild, and I kind of just sat there and watched red eyes with I had a headlamp on with a green light on. Figure it wouldn't spook them too much. Apparently, I guess they could see red. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
Even though I walk through my basement every night with red light, they just still kind of call and do their thing. They don't really care, I guess. But So I watched them, and I seen that they do kind of interact with each other. And I was, okay, well, I mean, we're not wrong by keeping them all together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a harmful interaction, so.
Did they stay pretty, like, not necessarily in a community, but kind of, like, pretty close zoned?
Yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah,
Okay.
it did seem like it. And I think, like, what was the other frogs that we found out that were very similar in staying close to each other?
Okay.
They call them tink frogs. I'm trying to think of the name of them, though. It's another Eulithrodactyla species,
Okay.
related to the coqui frogs.
Okay.
And for such a tiny frog, man, are they loud?
Oh, I believe it.
Oh, my God.
Even from, like, little hatchlings. So.
Oh, yeah. And but they're only about say about 3/4 of an inch long, but they all kind of form their own little community, if you want, you know. And it was kind of like, well, that's kind of neat, I mean.
That's cool.
Now dart frogs, on the other hand, we only seen like 2 interact with each other the whole entire time. The rest of them were all spaced out.
Yeah.
So that lets you think that, okay, they probably are territorial, like we already know in the hobby as it is. So, but this proved it out for me, my thinking.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, though, I mean, we did see a lot of gecko species down there too.
Yeah.
Got to see the gonatodes do their little dance where they kind of circle each other,
Oh,
and
that's
wave
cool.
their tails at each other.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like some kind of an aggressive thing, but it turns out that it was a male and female gonatodes gecko. Actually, and like I said, I didn't know if it was like an aggressive thing or whatever, but then I watched the male slowly go around the backside of her and copulate with them. I'm like, they're actually doing this in front of me. That was just wild.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like porn.
Yeah.
I didn't know to be embarrassed.
Yeah, right. I'm learning.
Get him, Tiger. Get him. Root him on, So, but yeah, I mean, the whole trip, though, in general, I mean, you just seen all kinds of fascinating things. Even the bugs down there, like I said, I hate bugs, but even the bugs were kind of like, that's pretty damn neat.
Yeah. I mean, you were even saying, like, from the temperature standpoint, just kind of seeing the environment in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a huge thing that is easy to help with, like, whether, like, mimicking your own environment, learning about the environment in general, and how it's sustaining itself. And
Absolutely.
stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of important from a conservation standpoint, too, and stuff like that, kind of learning those kind of things. So your experiences out there could, like, teach people out here, because you're dealing with these species, like you said, like species that literally live in these climates, and you're like, well, this is how these climates are key for this species and stuff like that, to kind of pass that information along, and hopefully people run with it and do positive changes to help keep that.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah, keep the environment in general, But so, like, bringing it back to like your, like, when you came home and stuff like that, like, what necessarily changed for your keeping?
I mean, temperature did, that's for sure. I mean, I did raise up the temperature for something and lower the temperatures for others.
Okay.
The humidity, venting, ventilation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That changed a little bit. I actually put a little bit more of a circular fan, like like one of those rotating fans do, oscillating fans, and that actually worked out pretty good too. That changed a lot of behavior as well.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I was looking into was like the plants. I wanted to see, okay, wow, what exactly plants are in Costa Rica? Because there's all sorts of plants that people are selling on the internet and in stores and at the shows, and oh yeah, this is from Costa Rica, and some of it's not,
Yeah. But people aren't there, so they just believe it. They're like,
Correct.
oh, tropical plant, Costa Rica, tropical.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, but we got to see some really neat Margravia down there, which that was. I wish I could take cuttings back of that.
Yeah.
Of course, the orchids. You can't.
So did you notice, like, certain plants, like frogs drawing to
Peace
more
lilies.
so? Okay.
I seen more of those tink frogs, and even red eyes were on peace lilies.
Yeah. Wow.
And to be that low to the ground, as far as red eyes were concerned, I always thought they were canopy dwellers. But then again, it was the beginning of May, so it was like maybe it was like
A
because
temperature thing.
well, because it was beginning of the rainy season.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the rainy season, but I think they felt it and they were coming down to actually, do their thing where they lay eggs above water. Yeah, I mean, it is, as far as like the plants go. That was one thing that I wanted to see what the animals were attracted to, and the tink frogs actually like palms more than they did anything else, though. That was the one thing. It's kind of a narrow leaf, but it is a small frog. So, but the way you could see is if you actually seen the leaf kind of drooped over, and you'd see like 3 or 4 of them.
So you could see the weight of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good indicator.
Mhm.
You know, helps them find them faster, especially out there and stuff like that.
Yeah. Pumilio, on the other hand, like the blue jean Pumilio dart frogs, they just didn't care what planet it was. They were on
They
it.
just travel across anything.
Yeah, I mean, they were just all over the place. I mean, there was one point where I didn't have my camera ready, but I'm sitting there in camouflage pants, so maybe this kind of helped. I don't know, but I'm sitting there and I'm like kind of taking a picture of this huge tree that was overhanging like a river.
Yeah.
And it was real nice. It was real kind of a scenic moment. You seen all these orchids and bromeliads growing up like the
So
one
cool.
side of it. I mean, it was just perfect as far as the whole scape.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting, I take the photo of it, and all of a sudden I look down and I see two male Pumilio fighting on my leg. And as soon as I did this, they jumped off. Man. So, but that was unique.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, why would you pick me to fight on?
Yeah, right. Just territorial. They're like, new land to claim.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. So, like, story-wise, like, do you have other stories, like, from the trip that were, like, pretty remarkable? They don't have to be necessarily about the frogs, though, but, like you said,
The
like...
basilisk.
Yeah.
Male basilisk. Those guys are territorial.
Okay.
As I'm walking to breakfast, I see one that's, like, kind of like on a stump or something like that, and he's bobbing his head, and I'm like, what, me? All of a sudden, this one comes tearing past me, hits
Oh
me
my
in the leg
God.
with his tail, and takes that guy out. I mean, they just start wrestling, and I was like, well, this is better than WWF.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if he could have said anything, it would have been, no way, brother.
Yeah.
So,
And that was at breakfast time? So
that was going to breakfast. That was at
breakfast and a show.
5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So, yeah, like, how were your days set up? So, like, you woke up extremely early and it was, like, hiking, like, all day? Or?
Yeah, we basically would wake up around, the sun comes up really weird there. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as the howler monkeys start throwing stuff at the top of the places you're staying, you're like, okay, I'm up. All
Yeah, right.
You get up, you get to take a shower, you go down, and it's real weird because you'd think at 5 o'clock in the morning, it'd probably be like mid-70s. No, it's already like 82, 84.
Humid as all hell.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you're walking to breakfast, the sun's just beating you down, and here's the thing that caught me off guard, is as I'm walking to breakfast, on the path, the sun is just beating on it already. I mean, you could already feel the heat coming up from the gravel.
Yeah.
And you got all these, you got leaves that are falling from the trees. You got all these Pumilio and Aradas in the middle of this thing, this path.
Yeah.
And they're all sunning themselves. Because as I'm walking up to them, they're not moving. It's
So they're
almost
not
like they're in a
afraid or-
trance.
yeah.
And Troy Goldberg was telling me about one time he took one of these UV lights that's kind of puts out a little bit of heat. It emits a little bit of heat, and he says, I put it over it, and they got in front of it, and it was just like them being in a trance. Like they were just...
It's interesting. Because, like, normally they don't require, like, you don't want to give them UVB.
Right,
Yeah.
you would think.
Yeah.
But these were, in fact, sunning themselves at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to do it all day, but
Yeah,
they might
sure.
do that just to kind of thermoregulate or whatnot, maybe speed up their metabolism, and then they just go off to eat. I'd like to talk to a few people about that and see what their thought
Sure.
would be. But it was just very
It's a
interesting.
good guess.
I mean, you had to watch where you're stepping, though. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
the weird part. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you stepped in the wrong area, you're squashing them.
Squashing, yeah.
So, yeah, it was a very, very interesting...
So, like, how long would, like, you be waking up then? How long would the hikes be on average?
Well, we'd usually meet. The bus would actually pick us up after breakfast, somewhere around 8:30,
Okay.
9 o'clock. We'd go to the destination, like I forget the name of it. Right after it was the first day of Celda Verde, he picked us up and we went to this one hiking area. 3.5 hours hiking, up and down hills,
Oh,
all
yeah.
that stuff. And I'm thinking, man,
Yeah,
prior to the trip, I'm like,
Did you build up your endurance or stuff like that? Yeah. Because that's what made me, like, especially, like, if I have trips coming up planned and stuff like that to hike, I'm like, oh my god, I'm, like, totally out of shape for that.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually for a month prior to that, I actually conditioned myself a little
Yeah.
bit by doing a little bit of, like push-ups, sit-ups, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Walking around the neighborhood because I'm like, I gotta get something going because I haven't worked out in years.
Yeah.
And
You're about to go on the workout of your lifetime.
Yeah,
In humidity.
oh yeah, oh, but I was a champ in it.
Yeah.
I must be already used to the humidity because of these guys. So
And like you said, you're a kid in the candy store, so, like, that was the least thing on your mind
Oh,
was
yeah.
being winded.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, so we would actually go and hiking for like hours on end, and it was a lot of fun. Make sure you had water.
Yeah.
Because you do get dehydrated if you sweat a lot.
What would other things be that you think you'd want to bring? Like, now that you've gone once, what would be things like that you wish you had when you're out there?
No, I took everything.
You took everything?
I took the weather station, I took the heat gun, the water probe. I think the only thing I would take next time is a notebook so I can actually jot everything down, because I'm sure there's things I did down there that I don't remember. Because it was just so exciting.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like...
You're in a lush environment with a lush full of information and scenes and everything.
And, I'll tell you one thing, though. It was just not only great to get the heck out of the country, get away from home. Yeah. Because it was like 15 years since I've been on an actual vacation.
Yeah.
When you're stuck in, Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. I consider it the armpit of the world, of course, but a lot of people still actually think it's nice, whatever. But when you go to Costa Rica, it's like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're getting those views in the canopy and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get the zip line.
Oh, really?
I didn't get to do that. A couple of them did, but I didn't get a chance to do that because we were in the process of going hiking someplace else, and I wanted to actually go there.
That.
Now I have a camera I can actually take. That's what I wish I would have had.
Yeah.
Camera, and I got that now. So I got a good camera instead of my phone, which,
Yeah. John's been even taking pictures with his phone. I'm like, these are with your phone, and they're like really impressive photos. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can get some good photos. But pulling it out of your pocket, it's the same instead of having it right here and going click.
Yeah.
Getting it to load, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just too slow with technology with it, but I'd rather have it right there. I just go click.
Oh, yeah. Be hands-on with it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
especially with the frogs on your legs.
Oh, God, that would have been awesome.
You would have just been slowly,
videoed that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah.
Or have a GoPro on your head, you could just look down.
That'd
be a good idea, too.
Yeah.
Or like a chest, like a vest one or whatever.
Yeah, I think that might actually be might be the next thing I get is a GoPro, but I don't even know what those run.
About 200. I got mine for 150, but I got that used. But I mean, it was like one of the brand new models. But yeah, they max $300. 300.
It still would come in handy though.
Yeah, they're weatherproof, anything like that. You can drop them anywhere. That's what I want you to use for like when eggs are being laid and stuff like that. You can time lapse it, so you can just put that in the cage or like mount that on the cage and stuff like that.
That would be neat. Yeah. I think I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah, because you can literally do that and you just leave that and. Like, I'll put it on road trips, like I've done that for Tinley, where I literally mounted it to the passenger seat, and it just shows, like, a time-lapse from, like, because I drive at night, so it'll do the transition from night to morning, and you just see the sun come out and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. I don't know, it's something fun I like to just throw in there, even though it doesn't matter, and it's hours worth of footage that just happens in, like, 2 seconds.
That's a really good idea. I think I'm going to have to get one of those and actually do that with, like, a clutch of bicolor or something like that, if I ever get those to breed again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That'd be something.
But kind of going, like, so, like, with breeding things, like, did you learn any tips from your trip?
Yeah, I mean, that's, like, seeing the environments themselves and where they usually hang out on for, like, a rainy season. Yeah, I did actually kind of learn a little bit with that as well. And again, like I said, the plants is what I was mainly concerned about. I wanted to find out what plants really tickle these guys' fancy.
Okay, so that would be the key thing, then.
Yeah, and like I said, peacefully just seemed to be the one that a lot of the frogs actually, like the ebercatas and all that, they loved them. Although the second you flip it over, they're gone. Those guys wake up like that, so. Then again, you also had to watch this too, because there's these giant grasshoppers that bite really hard.
Oh, God.
I know this. And
all the insects out there are relatively big besides the ants.
Yeah, but this one in particular, I mean, it's like that big. It's lime green. I mean, you can't tell it's on the plant until it's too late.
Yeah. And
they're aggressive. I mean, I thought it was a plaything, like fake.
Yeah. It's the things you don't think about. Did you see any big tarantulas? Big spiders?
We did see one tarantula. One of the guys actually let it crawl over its face. And yeah, not me, man. Nope. No, not this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of
not a wild.
I don't think a wild one. I would take my chances.
I mean, the body of this.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, it's huge.
And I think they said it was a red knee, and I'm like, there's red knees in Costa Rica, but I guess there are.
Yeah, I feel as though that would just mess up my day. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
especially when you're far out there and stuff like that. I don't know.
We did get close. I didn't want to get too close, but there's this wasp
Oh, okay.
that's about that big that actually stings its eggs or larvae into the actual tarantula. Yeah. We got to see one of those. We didn't see it attack a tarantula. That would have been pretty neat.
Yeah.
But
I think those go after mammals too, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't want to risk that.
Yeah. I think I've heard about that. And I think they have gone after mammals, and you'll see like the bump and stuff like that, just kind of lining the animal. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. Oh, no thanks.
Yeah, no, that's
good from afar.
Yeah, right. No kidding. So, like, after a day, like, were you guys like dead tired? Where it was like, do I want to even wake up the next morning? Or were you still pretty gung ho? Like, does it seem like a good idea at first, and then you're like, oh my god, am I tired?
Here's the thing, and I'm with a bunch of young people at this point, you know, because I'm at this point I'm like 45 years old. I'm down there with like 25 and 26-year-old kids practically, and Rick was probably the only one that was close to my age.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I thought I'd be tired, dead tired, but I actually wasn't. And, of course, these guys, you know, all want to drink.
Yeah.
Beer, cerveza. So, usually around 10 o'clock, everybody would kind of like wind down. So, from, say, 4:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, we were just constantly on the go. You know, because we even, so this is probably not a good idea either. Is as we were having cervezas, we decided to go herping too.
Oh, great.
Which it turned out okay.
Yeah.
You know, nobody got hurt, nobody got bit, nothing like that. But we did find, you know, a lot of cool stuff like at nighttime, like definitely frogs.
Oh, you definitely will, yeah. All the nocturnal stuff comes out.
And
snakes.
Yeah. And there's some walking sticks down there that are pretty tight.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a bug guy.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, we got to see, you know, even like those little, trying to think of the name of the raccoon that's down there.
Are those the tree-dwelling ones?
I believe so, yeah. But they're pretty tame. But I'm not about to pet it.
It's pretty tame when you're drunk.
Oh, no. We were on the trails.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that makes sense too. It's pretty tame when you're drunk. But no, we were on the trails like during the daytime, and these things would just walk up to us, be like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, Jack, I know what you guys are like in my country. I ain't going to even touch you." But yeah, so I mean, they're pretty tame. But I don't think I'd reach out and touch someone.
Yeah. At
that point, the other thing we got to see was a lot of monkeys. Those guys are bastards, by the way.
Oh, I believe it.
They will steal everything.
I've even heard stories about the ones like in Indonesia, the ones that just kind of they run the streets like the people and stuff like that. Well, apparently, like when
do they run around with arms?
Yeah, but basically when COVID hit and stuff like that, like no one was feeding them, you know, because no tourists were there, so they were stealing. So there was a lot of like stealing you would be hearing from these things. So yeah, they were getting like that was their main food source and stuff like that. Unfortunately, so they were getting rowdy with the locals and stuff like that, and stealing and attacking and.
There's some type of squirrel down there too that Rick is kind of, should I say, ballsy.
Yeah.
Sometimes Rick has no fear Rick Redlin rather, he has no fear when it comes to certain animals when they're wild. And this little squirrel came flying up to him and stopped right in front of him. And he's like, "Hey, little buddy," he reached down. The thing jumps up on his arm, starts running around his neck. Doesn't bite him once. And I'm like...
just scurrying around.
I think it actually did bite him eventually, but not really hard. It just kind of like nipped him, and that was
like it didn't go down his shirt or something like that.
Right, yeah, exactly. But, you know, it was just kind of comical, I mean, that he actually... if I could find that video, I'll actually show it to you later.
I want to see that.
But I'm sitting there like, dude, that thing's a wild animal, you know? You got to really give that a little bit more respect.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But, you know what? It didn't hurt him. Didn't hurt him whatsoever, so that was good. The tarantula. That was...
yeah, I couldn't do that. No, that's not for me.
No, not a wild one.
No.
I don't even like the...
I used to own one, but like that was like an elderly one, and like he was pretty chill and just kind of relaxed, but I think I would get another one down the line, but yeah, I mean... and for the longest time, I was like, I didn't even want to hold the one that I got. I was like, nah. Then I had, luckily, a co-worker at the time. He used to handle them, so he taught me how to handle them and stuff like that. And, I mean, after that, it was like holding a hamster with a bunch of legs, but... it was totally fine, but yeah.
Just gotta watch that they don't kick hair, right?
Yeah, so you have to watch for the hair flicking and stuff like that. So I would always wash my hands right after and stuff like that. I would occasionally see some hairs flicked like on the side of the enclosure and stuff like that, but It was cool when they molted. I like that. That was my favorite part.
Yeah, it looks like there's another spider in there.
But first, like, yeah, you open the cage and you're like, oh my god, it's dead. But then you're like, oh, I just bolted.
Yeah.
It's fine. Until the day it died, and you're like, oh, it's not.
Oh, it's dead now.
It's actually dead now, unfortunately. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's been 4 years. We gotta go back down there. We gotta plan something.
Yeah. Dave Kaufman, he was really interested in going again. There's a couple of frog people that I know. John Kauserman
said he wants to go.
He wants to go with us. But I mean, if we can get together, like get a bunch of people to go in on it, 16, 18 people. I mean, when we went down there, it was 16 people, and it was like really cheap once we all.
Did you guys all know each other, or you said it was basically like touristy? And like
well, no. I mean, we kind of knew each other. There was a couple of new faces there, but they were friends or family. That's what they were.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a good time with all of them. I mean, that's the thing is, so like when you go in good sized groups, you want to make sure that everybody kind of gets along.
I was gonna say, yeah, you want to get a good vibe if you're going down somewhere for like 14 days.
Yeah, or else you're gonna wind up strangling each other.
Yeah.
Or
on day 3.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna be dead and cooking.
Yeah, or thrown in the ocean or something like that. No, but we all had a good time, and I think that the people that were there that weren't really into animals were just fascinated by them as well, and that's where they started asking me questions. Wait a minute, you monkey around with all this stuff?
I was gonna say, especially being around experts that have been around the stuff. I mean, it's kind of an added part to your tour.
And I'd explain to them, and I'd show them pictures on my phone, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, this is this." I mean, I'd have to go and explain it all, and like when I show them like the first time I produced a bubblegum red eye, that's because I was showing him the red eyes, and then there's genetic morphs to that.
Yeah.
And they thought it was fake. Huh. I was like, well, okay.
A whole bunch of different things, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good talking piece for like when you're at your shows and stuff like that, like whether you're vending like Cleveland or eventually hopefully Tinley and stuff like that too. I mean, it's a great thing to like kind of bring up, like not only how it's helped you with your care, but also about the species. So.
Oh yeah.
That's been that's a pretty pinnacle thing, I would say, and a pretty cool thing too. But the Cleveland show just happened. How did that one go? You said it went pretty well.
Phenomenal. Yeah, the Cleveland show's getting better and better because they actually moved the location to Medina.
Yeah.
The Medina Fairgrounds.
Thank God.
And
because that place was tiny where it was before.
Yeah.
That hall.
Not only that, it was kind of dingy.
Yeah.
But now it's, like I said, it's really nice. Yeah. It's clean.
Roomy.
Very roomy. He has the potential of actually opening up the other room next to it.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like a flea market side over there. But like, yeah, if they could open that up, that'd be great.
He could very well make that into.
And a lot of parking, which is huge. Because before, that place was like gridlock. And it was just awful. Absolutely awful.
There was people that were parking across the street. And, illegally, by the way. Yeah,
or people would be waiting for spots, and it was like a very narrow way to get in, so you're waiting for all these other people.
Exactly.
It was just it was a nightmare. So, yeah, that's good, though.
The one thing that I was also concerned about, too, is code. There was so many people in that one time.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get shut down for code. But
yeah.
But now that it's roomier, it's going to get crowded again, because more and more people are going to come to this one.
Yeah. And they didn't even have full, like, vendors. Like, there's still tables open, so like
there are because of the COVID thing.
Yeah, so that's gonna be exciting once that's even kicking and stuff like that. It gives a lot more people chances to get in, and I think that adds more variety, hopefully, to what people bring.
Oh, absolutely.
As well, too.
We did unfortunately lose one of our vendors due to COVID.
Oh wow.
And it was really sad.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, a lot of people that like the elderly vendors, they have a. They don't want to really come in contact with it. Even if they have the vaccination, they want to let it simmer down first. So it's a safety precaution. I get where they're going with that because they do have underlining health issues. So, but
it's been picking up though.
It has. It's been picking up, and it's getting a lot more traction. I guess is the best way to put it. So
it's not in a bad spot either. It's
no, it really isn't. I mean, it's about 4 miles from the freeway, but it's not a bad 4 miles.
No.
And if anything, it's kind of scenic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty scenic, but yeah, that, and then hopefully, if all fingers crossed goes well, you'll be vending. It's not Tinley, but
it's considered the Tinley.
Yeah,
show.
It's Tinley, but it's not Tinley. It's at where
it's in Schaumburg.
Schaumburg, yeah, which is not too far. It's still
That hotel is awesome. It's like a
I looked at
botanical
that.
garden.
I was just
in the
about to
front.
say it looks really cool, and it's still like driving distance wise, like
It's the same.
yeah, it's basically the same. Like it's 45 minutes away from Chicago still, anything
Yeah.
like that. So it's,
Well, depending if you're south. If you're south, you got an extra 20-minute drive, 20
Right.
minutes to a half hour,
yeah, so
which isn't bad.
No.
And the fact that there's not a lot of traffic around that area too, like when we're driving into Tinley on Friday afternoon, what the hell is wrong with you people in Chicago, man? You don't know how to use gas pedals.
no
And,
traffic, everything.
oh,
It's a nightmare. The tolls, they're just crazy too.
yeah, that is bad. There's still a toll going to the Schaumburg if you keep continuing. I forget what that is, but it is off of 80. You have to get off, I think. I don't want to say it's 355 and give people the wrong direction, but if you look it up, the Tinley Park show has been moved, and I mean we're all looking forward to it. I mean it's in June,
Yeah, it's late June. It's like June 19th,
something like that.
20th, I believe.
Yeah.
Could be totally wrong, but yeah, I mean,
Well, you just put it at the end of the cover.
yeah, I'll put the information down below. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, if I'm not, I'm maybe potentially out of town those weekends for Seattle, I may be going down there. But if I'm not, I want to go down there because it's been almost 2 years.
Yes.
Probably almost 2 years since I've been down there. I mean, that sounds right. So, I mean, that's crazy.
Well, since October of 2019.
Yeah, yeah. It would be
So
that.
it's about a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great seeing everybody, though, because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are fired up. They're like, finally, we get to go to a show.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be exciting to like see people and
Yeah.
stuff like that too. You know, I mean, I think in general, like just people that have been distant for so long and stuff like that.
You're going to see every YouTuber go to that show.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, I think...
I think it's gonna be exciting too because it's a different location, but it's still a nice location. You know, it's not
Oh,
like they
man.
they skimped out on it. So.
We're going to actually put the link up, the same one that Brian sent to all the vendors. We're going to put the link up to where people could actually see how big this place is.
No, it's pretty exciting.
It's the same size as the Tinley show.
I
in
think
my
the hotel
opinion.
rooms have been like sold out. Like they keep putting up a little bit more and a little bit more every day gradually, and I think they keep like selling.
Yeah, they had a reptile block and then
Yeah.
they had to actually expand it.
Yeah.
Now, that's better than what the Holiday Inn at
Yeah.
Tinley Park does. Once they sell out of so many rooms, that's it. Everybody has to pay full price. I've gotten stuck with that being a vendor, and I'm not happy about it, but whatever. And that's us actually trying to reserve it a year ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think they have enough. I think they actually cut the amount of rooms we're allowed to have at the Holiday Inn. But whatever, it is. It is what it is. So, but the Schaumburg one should be really, really good. A lot of people are really excited. A lot of people are already, like you said, already taking up the hotel rooms, and they're actually almost at full capacity with all the vendors. Because there was a lot of vendors that couldn't make it to the June show
Sure.
because they got nothing available.
So then hopefully, what their plans are is to bring back a October show. So.
The October show will take place in Tinley
Yeah.
Park again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of a one-off kind of thing.
Right.
So.
But the nice thing would be is, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, okay, I'm going to meet you at the show and pick up this. I mean, I'm really low on animals as it is because during the whole last year, we barely bred anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with we didn't know what the market would be like, if we were ever going to have shows again. I mean, that's what it felt like.
Just raises your food bill.
Correct, yeah. So, I mean, there's no point in producing 10,000 frogs and feeding them for a year. I did that in 2010, almost went bankrupt because the whole market collapsed. Like, nobody had money. They were all out of work.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here with literally 10,000 plus frogs,
Yeah.
feeding and cleaning them for 6 months before I could even move any of them. And you're talking probably anywhere from $350 to $450 a week in crickets. Now, times 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got a little rough. I mean, there was a point where we almost did,
Oh yeah. I
kind
believe
of
it.
fold.
And I'm sure you weren't the only. You know.
No.
I mean.
But this year, for some reason, people were buying,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's because they were stuck home, but we were shipping out more than we've ever shipped before.
I think it's more so people that have kind of had a rundown of this stuff and kind of learned like what they need to prepare for and kind of were already prepared to take on these animals. So I think they were kind of like,
Yeah.
might as well take the jump.
Yeah, just order it.
No pun intended. But yeah, that's so. When do you think like your production's gonna like kick up?
Well, we started throwing some animals in the range here. We got our lemurs going.
Nice.
I actually applied for the lemur permit for
cool.
CITES
Yeah.
to ship out of the country.
Nice.
I actually want to focus on shipping more out of the country than shipping into the country, because I have a lot of friends that actually breed some of the similar animals. So we're not stepping on each other's toes, for one.
Yeah. Is that the only reason why you want to ship more so out of the country, or?
Well, do it while I can.
Yeah.
Because they want to put all these bans in place. But, which is another topic we'll have to talk about in a few
that's
minutes.
a whole other thing,
I've been actually getting a lot of customers overseas. A lot more than I thought. For the first year with Rainforest Junkies, we've probably shipped out, I'm going to say probably 25 shipments out of this country of red-eyed tree frogs. Different morphs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The pink one is really from... really, just going right out of the country.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually ran out of them 3 times in the last year.
I believe it.
It was like...
It's a hot commodity that not everyone has.
Right, yeah.
So.
I'm guessing that's what it is, but...
Has to be.
I mean, I figured, we got enough. We, like I said, we were just kind of amazed that they actually were going out of the country, and, so we said, well, why don't we try lemurs? Let's apply for that one. So we're in the process of getting that too. And now that I have a designated port permit too, where I can drive up to Buffalo to deliver to Toronto stores, like all reptiles. I'm going to be delivering to them. And they basically, all you got to do is call a week ahead of time, set up the appointment with Fish and Wildlife for the inspection, and you go across the border. I didn't think it was that easy. As long as you got the paperwork and everything's
Hopefully it stays
right.
that easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is if I can do that for as long as I can before they actually stop importation and exportation of animals, take advantage of it.
No, and it helps other people too.
Right, and it actually spreads the species out a little bit more too. So there's
people aren't
not
exporting
just
it.
Right, and they're just not stuck in one country. And plus, other countries are starting to fall into play like we are. We're all getting sick of wild-caught animals.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, people will stop exporting wild-caughts and everything like that. You
Correct.
know? I mean, what you're doing is the right way to export things, where it's like these captive animals that have been established, everything like that. And
I do believe that we should import some wild-caught just to get either new blood or to get new species that eventually are going to be a problem.
But not on the drastic levels where it's causing problems.
Right, exactly. Like back in the 90s, there was a lot of problem with that.
Yeah.
Now, not so much.
Yeah.
Now there's quotas and all that stuff, which is fine.
Sure.
But I think that there's still a lot of species in the wild that need to be brought into captivity for breeding purposes, so they stop smuggling.
Yeah.
And the beluga lactinotus is a prime example. A lot of people were like, oh, they were illegally smuggled. Yeah, they were, but they were confiscated, bred at a zoo, and then the zoo said, we're going to stop all this illegal trade, this smuggling.
Yeah.
We're going to start offering it to the general public, and they did. The smuggling stopped.
Yeah.
Once the animal's bred in captivity, why bother?
Yeah.
So
the money's gone.
Correct. So we've got those in the country now. We actually have the blue galax. I know a lot of people are still frowning upon it, but I really don't care.
But those are the people that don't know, and then once you kind of I've seen the feeds and stuff like that. Once people are learning about these things, and it's not only about that species, it's kind of like how
a lot of them.
How did a lot of people get these certain species and stuff like that? Anything from Australia,
all the frogs, all the dart frogs from back in the 90s. I still have letters from the ADG where they had names of people, of big people.
Yeah.
Where they would actually get frogs that were smuggled into Germany or wherever.
Yeah.
And then bred over there and then shipped over to the U.S. Well, that's not the best way to go about things. But at least you didn't have to smuggle after that because they were already being bred in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. And I think that, a lot of people don't realize that's what happened with crested geckos, bearded dragons, things of that nature.
That's what I mean. Anything from Australia that you cannot get a single thing from there. Yeah. It's one
skinks.
A lot
of the skinks, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize where the origins of these things came from, and now you have them yourselves.
Right. Now they're being captive bred in the United States or any other country which you can get them exported from usually. But the problem still remains on one thing in general, is habitat destruction. It's not because of collecting, it's because of habitat destruction. Yeah. That's my firm belief.
Sure.
Look at Brazil. That guy's burning down everything, and he's putting up palm oil. So all you people out there that are saying that it's bad to have these animals, but yet you're eating something that has palm oil in it, think about that.
Same with beef. The whole beef industry down there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
raising that for cheap down there, and then selling it up here.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's crazy.
And that's the thing is habitat destruction is always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
One of the main problems that they have down there is not just the forest being taken down for like wood, which is actually ironic because the guy in Brazil isn't even utilizing the wood that he's tearing down; he's just burning it.
Yeah.
Which there's a shortage of wood, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, he could have actually very well, if he was that greedy, made money with that too, but he didn't. He just wasted it.
Yeah.
So you have that point as well. But oil drilling is becoming a problem down there, which most people know that within like usually a 200-mile radius, oil fields can actually just kill everything because of, of the pollutants that come out of the the earth from that point. Same thing with gold mining.
Well, I've heard things too. Like, I can't remember if it was from someone that was down there, and they can't remember if they said that they were in a mix that they thought they were gonna die, because the tribes people that they met down there, the locals, they were people that were in association with like the governments and stuff like that to go after like other tribes like on their land and like go after to basically commit genocide, on these tribes and stuff like that. And it's crazy
that's
how
another thing that's really
so they're basically paying the locals just to get off of certain land areas so they can get in and plow it down, do their thing and everything like that. It's a crazy, I mean, it's a world that people don't realize, and I mean...
Not just exterminating animals at that point, you're exterminating humans.
Yeah, I mean, you're exterminating any life that's basically on there just to plow it over for dirt and make a buck, And it's unfortunate, and I think, I mean, kind of wrapping it back up to your trip, that's kind of the important thing too, is like, if any of that goes... I mean, you're not only losing the you're losing the species, but like the knowledge that you've learned from there and stuff like that, and how these things can be kept and everything like that. I mean, it's all but benefited you in the ways that you keep things and stuff like that, and how you can teach people to keep things too and stuff, because you have that in-person knowledge of being down there and doing things.
Well, there's that. There's still more to learn.
There is.
There's
you didn't learn it all. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people. And I'm going to take this quote and actually say that there's a lot of people that actually think that I am a guru or a expert, when in fact I'm not. I mean, if you really look at it, we really don't know crap compared to what we should.
Yeah.
I have a lot more experience than most, but that doesn't mean any of the above.
Sure.
But I mean, that's why I want to keep on going back and learning more and more and all that. I actually want to go to other countries as well.
Yeah, because I think that's more so what people know is, like, I always see on the feeds, like, people, like, if there's a question no one knows about, they tag you, like someone, like
I'm supposed to know that.
Yeah, right. So they automatically resort to you for any of those kind of situations, and some people are like that, where they have to have someone where they kind of look up to, and it's kind of, it's an unnecessary thing where it's kind of putting, like, a pressure on you, but in a way, it's kind of a beneficial thing to kind of spread the knowledge that you have, and the willingness to spread that knowledge.
And it's nice to hear that people have that kind of, faith in me.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that too.
Literally,
like,
faith.
For example, I mean, it's kind of like a Jane Goodall thing too. Like, Jane Goodall, she doesn't like to be like the spokesperson and be like out there and doing all these things. I just watched the whole
don't blame
thing.
her.
Yeah, but like, I mean, her work schedule, she said, like, she's traveling around doing all these different things. She's never home. But like, she's like, I only do it because I'm seeing the positive impact it's doing on younger people and stuff like that. And the benefits that it's having for the environment. So.
And let's face facts, we do have a new generation coming up that's learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been seeing more 15, 16, 17-year-olds that are going to the shows now, and they're eager to learn. They're not like the
and to raise collections of their own.
Correct, because I'm actually noticing that they're more eager to learn than the people that are like 30 years old.
Yeah.
So
because they think they know it all.
Maybe.
That could be it too.
Maybe. Yeah, a lot of people do think that they know. They call them the elitists.
Yeah, but I think too, obviously you said, like, you don't know it all, but like you even proved that, like, when you were down there, like, you kind of learned like a whole bunch of new things that you brought back with you. And I think like
it helps.
Yeah, so like a lot of people, like, if it's out of sight, out of mind, they don't look into it anymore, but like actually being down there, if you're able, or like kind of learning a little bit more in depth about the area, I think that helps too,
Yeah, and but let's face facts. I mean, not all. I mean, there is a lot of people that do have money to go down there every weekend.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
I wish I had that kind of coin. But at the same token, who would be? I mean, I'm not going to stick my wife with all these animals,
Yeah.
you know, all year round. But that's another reason we also thinned it down too.
Yeah.
Is because I didn't want the workload to be so harsh on her if I did decide to go down again.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's like for another I hear somebody calling.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the glass frogs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a glass frog. The lights. Oh, no, lights are off.
That's why
right.
they're thinking it's time.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. False hope. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as like.
It's a lot of work to put on one person just to go back down there and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you know, you ever like read these books on some of these animals, and you're like, okay, you got all this research,
Yeah.
but you didn't take the air temperature,
Yeah.
you didn't take the water temperature, and you're just
Things that
gonna
kinda-
assume we're gonna
Yeah.
already know that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I wish they'd start putting in some of these, you know.
Yeah. Things that people don't think about.
Correct.
A lot of things that people wouldn't think. I mean, like you said, people were like looking at you funny, like, why does he have this, that, and the other? And you're like, oh yeah, well, this is stuff like I wish I knew. So so you're trying to get the hands-on approach with that, but I think that's important.
Well, yeah, the looks I was getting was just priceless.
Oh, I believe it.
Just priceless. I mean, it's bad enough I have long hair, earrings, and tattoos. They already think I'm a lunatic. Now they see he's got a headlamp on, he's got a water probe in his hand, a heat gun or a temp gun in his other, and he's got a backpack on with a weather station in it. What kind of a freak does that?
Right. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's cool though, Hopefully, I mean, I would love to form something, get something going, and hopefully we can plan a trip down there in the coming time, something.
I'm hoping that like there'd be 3 of us, because I don't think that we can evaluate just on one person's equipment. There's 3 of us with the same equipment down there, getting 3 different opinions. If it all matches or comes close, at least we have an idea that okay, this is what it is, and that's what I want to jot down.
Yeah.
The exact. I don't want to go with it might have been this.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think we should. Yeah, we'll have to coordinate something. I think that would be a trip of a lifetime, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if we do put this together, we do have to go to Rockin' Jay's again.
Yeah.
Rent that hammock, man. That was awesome.
Well, we also have to go to the beaches.
That's what I mean. It was right there on the.
No, I'm talking about the black beaches.
Oh no, come on. Black sand.
We got to get in the black sand.
God.
And you're not getting on the bus.
Oh.
You're gonna stare at the iguana all day.
I could see that in a pet shop. Because I'm looking right at the iguana. I'm like, I could see you in a pet shop.
Oh god. But yeah, that'll be exciting. Thank you so much again for coming on. But where could people find you if they want to reach out to you for frog information or anything like that?
Oh, you can go to rainforestjunkies.com. You can see we don't have the pictures of the animals. We had to actually tear down the site because the server kept on getting hacked.
Oh god.
So we decided to go through GoDaddy instead.
Okay.
And so we got that running our server now. But
Nice.
As soon as we get a little bit of time, I'm going to actually get with Adam, the guy that works on my website. He'll actually put the photos up. And I don't really have a lot available now because, like I said, we didn't breed that much. So hopefully in the coming months we'll have a lot more going. I mean, right now we do have some dark frog tadpoles in the water, like I said, lemurs, red eyes of all morphs.
And eventually too, I want to come down here and do like a whole video, like kind of showcasing like the collection and the process and everything, and see what you want and stuff like that. So I think that'd be fun. But
so hopefully we'll get like the packies going, and you could do a time lapse thing in that too. That'd be kind of neat.
Awesome. But yeah, definitely I'll leave some links down below to all Mike's stuff, so you guys can check him out and Rainforest Junkies and see all the really cool frogs that he's working with. Because I tell you, I mean, everything literally behind the tarp and like everywhere around. I mean, he's got a ton of stuff that he's working with, and this is one devoted man, I'll tell you that. But like I said,
or a guy with no life.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be rock and roll and frogs, right?
Right. Yeah.
Same thing too, like not only about frogs, if you have anything composition wise for like composing for music, I mean, definitely reach out to him too. I mean, we're trying together to kind of get something going here to make it so Mike can start up his own thing on the side where he's working on some music stuff, because that's also his other passion, is working with music. So definitely reach out to him in terms of those capacities, and we can see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. But thank you guys again so much for watching. We appreciate that, and appreciate your time, and it means so much to have you guys here. And I know that the podcast hasn't been coming out consistently every month, but now I think we're going to have a good system going here where we're going to be plugging these out once a month. So really exciting to be doing that with you guys. So stay tuned for that as well too. We have some exciting guests lined up, and it's going to be exciting. All of these have been exciting. I love doing these. But thank you guys again for watching today's video. If you could do me a couple favors besides checking out Mike's stuff, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. And until next time, I will see you guys soon.